Good morning, Dr. Ramba. Oh, oh. Sahanavatu, Sahano Bhunaktu, Sahaviryam Karavavahai, Tejasvinavaditamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तं वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्. So yesterday, Dr. Brahmara did sloka number 25. I think she wanted to go over this. Read this again, she said. Saktaha karmanyam avidvamso yata kurvanti bharata kuryat vidvam tata asaktaha shikshur loka sangraham. Shikirshur, okay. Shikirshur loka sangraham. Bharata, O Bharata, karmani to action, saktaha attached, avidvams, avidvamsa, vidvamsaha, vidvamsaha, the unwise, yata, justice, kurvanti, perform action, tata, so too, vidvan, the wise, loka sangraha, the protection of people, Chikrish, desirous of doing, asaktaha, unattached, kuryat, would perform. O Bharata, just as the unwise who are attached to the results perform action, So too the wise perform action without attachment, desirous of doing that which is for the protection of the people. Previously, Lord Krishna had said that he did not really have anything to be done because there was nothing for him to accomplish in all three worlds, meaning here on earth, in the heavens, or in any other world. This was because he knew himself to be everything, Sarva Atma. Because Arjuna saw Krishna continually immersed in activity, Krishna explained that he performed action to set an example, as we have seen. Here in this verse, Lord Krishna asked Arjuna to suppose that he too were a knower of the Atma, an Atmavid, then he too could say, Hey Krishna, in all the three worlds, there is nothing for me to accomplish because I am an Atmavid. I know I am everything. And knowing this, Arjuna could then also perform action. He would have nothing to lose. He too would perform action for the sake of the people. Otherwise, he would be destroying them. The people did not know whether Arjuna knew or not. They only knew that what he did. They only knew what he did. Again, the people did not know whether Arjuna knew or not. They only knew what he did. All they would see was Arjuna was not doing what he was supposed to do and would simply conclude that not performing action is preferable. Once again, Krishna was bringing up the argument that people would follow Arjuna's lead, and because of this, Arjuna should set an example. Keeping this in mind, Krishna addressed Arjuna here as Bharata, for which there are two meanings. A person born in the family of Bharata, or Bharata, person born in the family of Bharata may be referred to as Bharata. Secondly, Ba means Brahma Vidya, knowledge of Brahman, and Tasyam Aha Ramate, the one who revels in that. The knowledge of Brahman is called Bharata. So, Ba means Brahma Vidya, knowledge of Brahman, Tasyam Yaha Ramate, the one who revels in that, the knowledge of Brahman, is called Bharata. Therefore, Arjuna was Bharata in this sense, also because he was receiving and reveling in the teaching of Brahman. In this verse, Vidwan means one who has this knowledge, and Avidwan is one who does not. Taking the self to be a doer. Taking themselves to be the doer, people are bound to karma. So, taking themselves to be the doer, people are bound to karma. They do not even perform action for the sake of antakarna shuddhi, but with the expectation that if I perform this action, I will gain this result. This expectation, this attitude is what is meant by attachment to karma. I'll read this paragraph one more time. In this verse, Vidwan means one who has this knowledge, and Avidwan is one who does not, taking the self to be a doer. Taking themselves to be the doer, people are bound to karma. They do not even perform action for the sake of antakarana shuddhi, but with the expectation that if I perform this action, I will gain this result. This expectation, this attitude is what is meant by attachment to karma. Action itself is not what people are attached to. So again, action itself is not what people are attached to. They're attached to the results. Because people are interested in results, they undertake certain actions with the combination of enthusiasm, anxiety, and concern. What Krishna was saying here is, let the Vidwan, the wise person, perform action with the same enthusiasm as a person who performs action for the results alone. Thus, the enthusiasm is a common factor between the two, whereas the anxiety and concern are not. A person who is attached to the results of action thinks such and such should happen to me. I'll read this again. A person who is attached to the results of action thinks such and such should happen to me. For this person, there is no karma yoga buddhi, which is prasada buddhi with regard to results. The term dictating the action are purely raga dveshas. The terms dictating the action are purely raga dveshas. The kartavya buddhi, the to be done attitude, is not there for the person. When such people undertake activities, there is definitely going to be enthusiasm in anticipation of results desired. But this enthusiasm will be dampened somewhat by the apprehension one has about getting undesirable results, because there are no real guarantees that the action will produce the desired results. Some anxiety will always be there. And the more enthusiastic a person is with reference to the result, the more anxious he or she naturally becomes. Therefore, for one who does not know oneself as everything, anxiety accompanies enthusiasm, and with this, the person performs action. Attitude in action. Why is it that the wise can undertake action with the same enthusiasm but without anxiety and concern? This is purely because of a difference in attitude. A wise person performs action simply because it is to be done. How a result comes or whether the expected result comes is not a concern for the wise. So again, a wise person performs action simply because it is to be done. How a result comes or whether the expected result comes is not a concern for the wise. When the result comes, it is met with equanimity. Action is always result oriented. No one can perform an action without expecting a result. Expectation of a particular result alone makes the action meaningful. An action performed without expecting a result is meaningless. An action is always done for some purpose, even if it is kartavya, to be done action. Thus, the purpose of any action is always known, whereas whether the purpose is going to be fulfilled is definitely anyone's guess. The results are not in your hands. You can only plan what you will do. Then do it and keep on doing it. But the results of actions are not within your control. Thus, Krishna said here that if Arjuna was an Atmavid, a Vidwan, he would perform whatever action was to be done by him with the same enthusiasm as people who are attached to the results, but without attachment. But without attachment, in other words, minus the anxiety and heartburn. So that's about the attitude in action. A wise perform action to bless the world. Why, you may ask, does a wise person perform action if he or she is not interested in the result? No one is saying that the person must perform action, but the question is, what does he or she lose by doing it? Okay, no one is saying that a person must perform action, but the question is, what does he or she lose by doing it? In fact, nothing is lost and there is a lot to be gained in terms of protecting others. It is true that the gain is not for the wise person, but there is nothing wrong with that. Let the others be protected and enjoy the gain. For a wise person who knows he or she is everything, there is nothing to gain, nothing to accomplish. One who wants to do something is called sik- sik- sikrishu. Sikrishu. Sorry. Sikrishu. One who wants to do something is called sikrishu. That kartavyam.
Chikirshu.
Chikirshu. Okay. Chikirshu. Kartumishuhu. One who desires to do kartumishuhu. Chikirshu. Chikirshu. The desire spoken of here is to protect the people, loka sangraha. The desire spoken of here is to protect the people, loka sangraha. Those who want to perform action, even though they have nothing to accomplish for themselves, do not want the people to fall into ways that are non-productive and destructive. Okay. So I'll read this again. Those who want to perform action, even though they have nothing to accomplish for themselves, do not want the people to fall into ways that are non productive and destructive. Therefore, to bless the world, to serve as an example to the world, the wise perform action. So that's a two-part, right? To bless the world and to serve as an example to the world. The wise perform action. What else is there to do for a person who has nothing to do but to set an example, thereby protecting the people? Yeah. Ah, this is why Krishna was one on the battlefield. This is why Krishna was on the battlefield, in fact, driving Arjuna's chariot. Krishna was definitely taking a risk sitting in the front seat of the chariot. He was the one who would be bombarded. Every arrow would have to cross his head and shoulders before finding its way to Arjuna. Krishna could well be hit in the process. Being a charioteer is something like being a tank driver. Even though other men are using the weapons, the driver is risking his life. Thus, Krishna was as much as saying to Arjuna, I am your driver and therefore I am taking a great risk. I have actually given you my neck, in fact. Why? For the protection of the order, the dharma, and thereby for the protection of the people. So, this last line is so important, right? Thus, Krishna was as much as saying to Arjuna, I am your driver, and therefore I am taking a great risk. I have actually given you my neck, in fact. Why? For the protection of the order, the dharma, and thereby for the protection of the people. Dharma itself is not something that has to be protected. Dharma is not something that has to be protected. To think so would be idealism. In fact, it is dharmis, the people who follow dharma, the dharma that ought to be protected. There is no such thing as protection of dharma other than the people who follow it. The dharma, the order, is meant for the people. Thus, when it is said that the dharma is to be protected, what is meant is that people are to be protected. Krishna had made it very clear that there were no kartavya to be done action for him or for anyone who has the knowledge of Atma. There is no mandate that says you should continue to do karma. Whatever an Atmavid does is only for the blessing of the world. This is all that he or she does. This being in the contention, Krishna told Arjuna that he should determine what is to be done for the good of the people alone, and then he should do it. If Arjuna were to tell people that there is no action to be done, kartavyam nasti, it would be wrong. And if he set a wrong example by performing no action himself, others would be disturbed. As a word of advice to those who already have knowledge of the self, this theme was repeated by Krishna in the next verse. So I think you did, Dr. Brahmana kind of explained it yesterday. So please, if you want to, could participate and share your thoughts on this. It's really, really great verse. I mean, every verse is great, but this is again is fitting for the time that we are in. So when to perform action and how to perform action and type of people performing action. So if you kind of put a column like this, right, the karmis and then the wise people. So the action is done for the results. That it's not uncommon for people to do without expecting some results of the action. But then when it is done with the karma yoga attitude and take the results as a prasada, then that is for then you do the action for the antakarna shuddhi, and again with the karma yoga attitude in neutralizing raga dveshas, then that is also done for the purpose, but it's non-binding results. But whereas this people who have raga dveshas and they do their action expecting desired results, and that when they don't get the specific result, then they get apprehension like uh, anxiety, depression, whatever that results bringing to. When they get undesired results, then they feel failure and all that kind of stuff. So that is what they talked about, those three things. In they do their action with enthusiasm, thinking that they're going to get the good results, but then when they don't get the results, that other things are bound to happen. But whereas the wise They don't have to perform the action because they already are Atmavit. But they do it without attached to the not attached to the results of the action for the good of the people, to protect the people. So that's pretty much what is explained in this uh, in many ways, and that was applied to Arjuna, how he directing him to do this fighting, you know, even though he is not Atmavit, but if he is to perform the action, not attached to the results for the good of the people and set a good example, like what Krishna did. Though doesn't have to, he's a Sarvatma and he's not have to do anything, but then again, he want to set an example, good example for people to follow and also to protect the people. So this is nicely said, right? O Bharata, just as the unwise who are attached to the results perform action, so too would the wise perform action without attachment, desirous of doing that which is for the protection of people. They have desire to do, and that's a good desire, and to the blessing to the people, to the world. Like all the jnanis, rishis, all of them, they did what they did for everybody, are Mahatmas. If anything you want me to read, or then we can go over it. I'll go on to next one. Na buddhi bedam janaya ajnanam. Na buddhi bedam janaya ajnanam karma sanginam jo joshyat no, joshyat sarva karmani vidvan yukta samacharan. Na buddhi bedam janayat ajnanam ajnanam karma sanginam josyat karma sarva karmani vidvan yukta samacharan. Karma
Can I just
sanginam.
chant this one? Na
Sure, go ahead.
buddhi bedam janayet ajnanam karma sanginam joshayet sarva karmani vidvan yukta samacharan.
Okay. Karma sanginam. Karma sanginam of the people who are committed to the results of action. Okay. Karma sanginam of the people who are committed to the results of action. Anjnanam of the people who are ignorant. Buddhi bedam. Buddhi bedam, disturbance of one understanding. Na janayet, should not create. Vidwan, the wise person. Yuktaha, one who is steadfast in the knowledge. Sarva karmani, all actions. Samacharan, performing them well. Samacharan, performing them well. Josayat, Agnion, should encourage the ignorant people. Should encourage the ignorant people. Karma sanginam, Ajnanam, buddhi bedam, janayat, vidvan yuktaha, sarva karmani samacharan, josayat. The vidwan should not create any disturbance in the understanding of the ignorant who are attached to the results of action. So the vidwan should not create any disturbance in the understanding of the ignorant who are attached to the results of action. The wise person, steadfast in the knowledge himself, performing all actions well, should encourage the ignorant into performing all actions. I'll read this one more time. The Vidwan should not create any disturbance in the understanding of the ignorant who are attached to the results of action. The wise person, steadfast in the knowledge himself, performing all the actions well, should encourage the ignorant into performing all actions. In this verse, Krishna is saying, may this Atmavid, the one who knows the Atma, not produce any disturbance in the attitude of those who are ignorant, those who are committed to the results of action, karma pala. Karma sangis are those who have sangha, attachment. So karma sangis are those who have sangha, attachment, meaning here an attachment to the results of karma. Lacking discrimination, these people are not karma yogis, and Krishna was telling Arjuna not to disturb them. Na buddhi bedam janayat. Na buddhi bedam janayat. Janayat means should not create, or not janayat, should not create. Those who know a little Vedanta often say to others, okay, those who know a little Vedanta often say to others, what is this karma that you are doing? These rituals and prayers are not going to help you. Why do you go on chanting Hare Rama, Hare Krishna all the time? You're wasting your time. Such statements do nothing but create unnecessary problems. Therefore, Krishna said, do not disturb their understanding. So, this is the key thing, right? I'll read this paragraph one more time. Those who know a little Vedanta often say to others, what is this karma that you are doing? These rituals and prayers are not going to help you. Why do you go on chanting Hare Rama, Hare Krishna all the time? You are wasting your time. Such statements do nothing but create unnecessary problems. Therefore, Krishna said, do not disturb their understanding. These people need only be encouraged to do karma according to dharma, nothing more. Dharma and adharma can be discussed with them in terms of their various pursuits, but they should not be disturbed by being told not to do any karma, since they are not ready for what that really means. Had Krishna and Arjuna lived their lives doing nothing and had all the enlightened people around them also done nothing, people would certainly have concluded that right thing to do was nothing. People who are taught to be enlightened are said to be elite in a given society, and whatever they do tends to become law for the others. Therefore, such people are leaders, shreshtas, and these leaders, including the Atmavid, should not disturb the minds of those who follow them. So here it is. I'll read this one more time. People who are thought to be enlightened are considered to be the elite in a given society, and whatever they do tends to become law for the others. Therefore, such people are leaders, status, and these leaders, including the Atmavid, should not disturb the minds of those who follow them. Just as you cannot alter the direction of a river unless you do it very gradually, so too the direction that a person's life is taking can only be altered gradually. A sensitive person, one who really cares for another person, brings about a change in that person by going with the flow, altering the direction of his or her life little by little in a helpful way. So, I'll read this also one more time. Just as you cannot alter the direction of a river unless you do it very gradually, so too the direction that a person's life is taking can only be altered gradually. A sensitive person, one who really cares for another person, brings about a change in that person by going with the flow, altering the direction of his or her life, little by little, in a helpful way. So, the key thing is not to disturb people who don't have much understanding, and they let them do their karma attached to the results of action. But if you'd like to change, only do little by little. A wise person does not disturb the understanding of others. A wise person does not disturb the understanding of others. Mm. The word Vidwan in the second line of this verse refers to a wise person who is asked to not to disturb the understanding of an anyani, one who is ignorant. Yuktaha is another word for Vidwan, meaning one who is jnanena yuktaha, endowed with the knowledge. Jnanena yuktaha is endowed with knowledge. Even though such a person does not have anything to accomplish, does not lose anything either, he or she sets an example for others to follow. For example, a Vidwan does not pass a temple but enters, offers prayers, and may even compose a verse in praise of the Lord. A Vidwan does not need to go into the temple because a person is a temple unto himself or herself. In this way, a Vidwan performs all the karmas that are to be done. Shankara consecrated many temples and composed verses in praise of the Lord. If the Vidwan happens to be a grahastha, the karmas mandated for this particular ashrama are followed by him or her. And if the person happens to be a sannyasi life is followed. Here, Krishna was talking about grahasthas. A grahastha is a householder. He or she is not a renunciate. For such a person, there are different levels of karma, obligations to the society, to one's parents, to one's own immediate family members, to the devatas, and so on. In this verse, Krishna instructed the wise who is a grahastha. Krishna instructed the wise who is a grahastha to set an example for others because it was the best way to teach them. So, last line again Krishna instructed the wise who is a grahastha to set an example for others because it was the best way to teach them. So, it's Arjuna is a grahastha. There are two types of teaching. Teaching can be done by setting an example, as is done with reference to karma and dharma. Of course, the one who is teaching also says that certain things are to be done and not done. For the most part, however, karma and dharma are best taught by example. Only then will the word only then will the words of the one who is teaching carry any weight. The words of a person who has lived a good life always carry more weight than those who has not. So the words of a person who has lived a good life always carry more weight than those who has not. In the case of Atmajnana, the teaching is not by example, it is to be taught by using words. This then is the other type of teaching. The other type of teaching is what? In the case of Atmajnana, the teaching is not by example, it is taught by using words. This then is the other type of teaching. You cannot follow an Atmajnani. You cannot say that because he or she does this or that, I will do the same and become enlightened. It does not work this way because we are dealing with the knowledge. Therefore, unlike a life of Dharma, Atmajnana cannot be taught by example. It must be taught by words, sabda, whether few or many, words by being the pramana here. So I'm going to read these two types of teaching one more time. So there are two types of teaching. Teaching can be done by setting an example as is done with reference to karma and dharma. So one is about the teaching about reference to karma and dharma. The second one is about Atmajnana. The karma and dharma is of course said by the one who is teaching also says that certain things are to be done and not done. For the most part, however, karma and dharma are best taught by example. Only then will the words of the one who is teaching carry any weight. The words of a person who has lived a good life always carry more weight than those who has not. So this is that example, Krishna and Arjuna. In the case of Atmajnana, the teaching is not by example, it is taught by using words. This then is another type of teaching. You cannot follow an Atmajnani Jnani. You cannot say that because he or she does this or that, I will do the same and become enlightened. It does not work this way because we are dealing with knowledge. Therefore, unlike a life of Dharma, Atmajnana cannot be taught by example. It must be taught by words, sabda, whether few or many, words being the pramana here. So to acquire Atmajnana, you have to do it on your own meaning through words of sabda or pramana here. So that's a second other type of teaching. The nature of the word, the nature of words. In teaching any subject matter, if the person knows what he or she is talking about, the words carry weight. They ring true. As the words are spoken, you see their meaning. Naturally, the words of a person who knows what he or she is talking about are different from those of everyone else. Still, teaching by using words is not teaching by setting an example. So, one is the teaching by using words, and the other one is teaching by setting an example. So, they here how they talking about. Okay, I'll read this one more time. In teaching any subject matter, if the person knows what he or she is talking about, the words carry weight. They ring true. As the words are spoken, you see their meaning. Naturally, the words of a person who knows what he or she is talking about are different from those everyone else. Still, teaching by using words is not teaching by setting an example. What example are you setting when you tell someone that he or she is Brahman? That's a word. uh, do you close your eyes? Do you walk around or remain seated? There is no example involved in telling a person that he or she is a Brahman. When Krishna compared a wise person to an ignorant person by saying what was night for one was a day for the other, he was speaking from a position of desperation in terms of setting an example. To say that when the ignorant are sleeping, the wise person is awake, and when they are awake, the wise person is sleeping, simply means that they never meet. We see something similar in today's families where the father works so hard that he leaves the house too early in the morning to see his children and comes home so late that they are again sleeping. Just as the father and children never meet, the wise person and the other wise also never meet. What is night for one day is for the other, what is day for one is night for the other. But therefore, in terms of setting an example for the people with reference to knowledge, example setting is only with reference to Dharma Shastra, not with reference to Jnana. This point has to be recognized because there are those who advocate teaching Atmajnana by example. The only a wise person can set an example here is by doing karma properly. When he does the karma well, a wise person make others do their various karmas because the people will follow him or her. How a person is attached to karma is made clear in the next verse. Mm. It's all like string of pearls, right? Every one of these sloka is talking about wise person, teaching. So the first point he made was for Ajnanis, let them do their karma, even though they're attached to the results, let them do their karma. They don't have understanding, but do not disturb them. Do not stir their thing. If you really have to change them little by little, do it little by little. Don't say there's no use, this, that, all that. That's the first point. And the second is how uh, a setting example. Oh, sorry, excuse me. How the people are doing karma in different ashramas, and how Krishna is talking about uh, what is to be done, the karma, they're supposed to do. Different levels of karma they're talking about for grahastha, obligations to the society, to one's parents, one's own immediate family members, to the devatas, and so on. So he's telling Arjuna to set an example for others because it was the best way to teach them. So we talked about two types of teaching. One is the setting an example as is done with reference to karma and dharma. Whereas for the Atmajnana, it is through the words, through the pramana. The nature of the words is to talk about they brought in this sloka, the previous one, I forgot which one it is. The night for the others, uh, night for the wise, day for the ajnanis or ignorant people. When the ignorant are sleeping, the wise people are awake.
Sarvabhutanam tasyam jagarti samyami yasyam jagrati bhutani sa nisha pashyato munehe. That's in chapter 2. Yeah.
I know it is in, we read this one, I forgot the sloka number. Anyway, that's the one we're talking about, right? So when they are sleeping, uh, day and night is more like because of the knowledge, right? They don't have to be for jnanis. When everybody is sleeping, meaning it's not real sleeping, right? They are talking about their ignorance. Where we were talking about that somnambulist, like we are all like sleepwalking. They're not, because of we are not aware of this
Yeah,
knowledge.
they are asleep to the ignorance, whereas they are
Ignorant
awake to the knowledge,
knowledge, yeah.
and vice versa for the ajnani.
Mm. So, Yeah. So please, yeah, so, if you want me to read anything, just let me know. We have like 3 more minutes to go.
Yeah.
But
From tomorrow onwards, we are having a daily online sadhana using
mm,
the same link, and that's at 6 a.m. So we will need to wind up, do the Shanti part at least by um, 5 minutes before, so that there's no
yeah,
delay.
okay.
Okay, I'm just letting all of us know so
No,
that
yeah, yeah,
we can
yeah.
stick to that. Yeah.
Time. Okay. Let me close in here. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat Sarvam Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Thank you. So, are we doing the meditation,
Let me
Dr.
share.
Bala?
Meditation is accepting this moment, living every moment totally with depth. Let us keep our spine erect and body relaxed and eyes closed. Relax your shoulders. Keep a big smile on your face. You're sitting like the statue of Buddha, very serene and with a serene smile on your face. Relax your body. Let's take a deep breath in and breathe out. Become aware of your chest region, throat and chest region. If you notice some tension in the body, just let it be. Except those parts of the body where you feel a tension, the other parts are in comfort. Other parts are at peace. Become aware of that also. There are many good things about you and inside of you. Acknowledge them. They will never leave you. And the negative aspect you may see in you is never going to stay with you forever. They are all guests for some time. Let them be. Sit with the total acceptance of yourself the way you are at this very moment. Total acceptance of what is now here will lead us to deeper meditation. Let go of all the efforts. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let go of all your effort and be in this emptiness. And slowly and gradually become aware of body and surroundings. And you may gently open your